an important question. How does Joynity hold up against CSA, child sexual abuse, like my own molestation when I was 6 months old? Which one wins in a fight? Well, the truth is we always have to go back to ontology. Is that reality is made up of stuff and substance and tangible positivism. There's photons, there's no darkons. There's electrons, aka heat, there's no colds-ons. There's bits of information, there's no ignorance-ons. Just like there's joyticles, there's no suffer-ons. There's no suffering particle. There's only... Reality is ontologically positive. It's measured in real things. You can't grab a whole or turn an absence into a presence, okay? And so that's just we're setting the stage for reality here, okay? And so child sexual abuse, CSA, minor molestation included, it can be said that bad things cannot exist because you can't turn a whole into an object. You can't grab absence. And so bad things like child sexual abuse, minor molestation included, didn't really occur. And this is hard for a lot of people to understand because calling something CSA or molestation is calling something bad. And if you're calling something bad, then it's an illusion. It doesn't have substance. It's just a lack of substance. And I've done some of the research on this, is that what's normally called molestation is just microscopic good. And this is hard for some people to hear because it's kind of like saying, like a hole. Like you can't grab a hole, and this isn't trivial because you can't grab molestation. It's not a real thing. It's a lack of something else, like nurturing, safety, etc. And so what is actually real in those situations is the positive intent of both parties. And that's something hard for people to hear too. But if there's any ontological reality to it, and ontology just means the study or nature of beingness, we have to look at what's actually going on. And so the child wants to be healthy and to live life and to be joyful. That's the child's purpose. It's always pure. But the twisted adult, they have a microscopic positive intent that gets overshadowed by the lies and the illusions of the lack of goodness in the situation, the whole. But their positive intent is to connect with someone, to grow up, because they're obviously a stunted child emotionally, to heal whatever trauma that they went through, whatever hole they experienced and have been grabbing onto as an illusion, which has caused the fakeness of suffering to create like a fake complex in their psyche. And then the last one is just to feel better. So that's the four positive intents I can see in pedophiles. That's the only real substance. And in terms of a pedophile, there's nothing else. Like everything else is almost everything else is better than a pedophile. But I've found those four positive intentions are at the root of it: to feel better, to grow up, to heal, and to connect. But besides those four joyticles of positive intention, it's like a desert. It's like 4 drops of water in a desert. That's all there is. There's nothing else going on. Whereas a normal, healthy person is like a rainforest. Like they have positive intentions, but they also have manifested good things in their life. And so it's not just microscopic, basically non-visible positive intention. Like they have manifest good things going on in their life. Like a child, everyone can see a child is good and they're pure and they're joyful a lot of the time. But in this situation, the CSA situation, the adult is so poor. It's a desert. He's a hole of joy. It's an absence, and that's why it's so ugly because there's nothing real going on there. There's no joy, and all matter is joy, as we've discussed previously in the 6 joyful truths, etc., etc. And so, to go back, molestation doesn't exist. All bad things don't exist. Often what we call bad is just microscopic positive intentions that you can't see on the surface because it's like one drop of water in a desert. Like, it's basically impossible to notice unless you dive deep. But again, bad things don't exist because you cannot grab a whole. And we've already proven through ontology that only goodness exists as joydicals. And so if something lacks joydicals, or joy, just to be general, then there's no reality to it. So molestation doesn't really exist. It's just that the good is so microscopic that we say it's a bad thing, but there's nothing actually going on there. And that's what's bad about it, is that there's nothing going on there. It's just an absence of joydicals. And so, does molestation or CSA win against Joynity, or who wins in that fight? Well, Joynity is the only thing real, and those molestation CSA, that is absence language, that's lying language, that's illusion language, because you're turning an absence into a presence, a whole into an object, by using those bad words. But those things don't exist. The only reality there is microscopic positive intent, which is almost beside the fact, because again, it's like those 4 positive intentions of the abuser. It's like 4 drops of water in a whole desert. Like, it's not even worth talking about, pretty much. Unless you're trying to do rehab, then that's some small groundwork that you can build and start some positive healing or manifesting of potential. But the point is, there's basically almost nothing there. And so Joynity always wins because it's reality named. Matter is made of joy, and only joy is real. And so if something has no joy, then it's an absence of reality. And so a non-existence, illusion, lie cannot stop the omnipresent, all-powerful reality of joy. And so there's no fight because there's only one thing. It's like a photon versus a darkon. Darkons don't exist, and so obviously there's no fight. There's just photons. So there's no battle. You can't have a victor if there's no battle. There's only Joynity. That's the only reality there is. Sorry to be so long-winded, but ontology matters, and it matters because it removes the fight, it removes the conflict, it removes the duality of good versus bad, and it says that there's only good, and any lack of good is just a non-reality. It's an illusion or a lie. It's seeing shapes in the darkness, and the imagination running away with itself. That's all it is. And so I know this was a little long-winded, but ontology matters, and so that's just the answer. Okay, thank you for listening. Bye.
So the final point to end on is a retelling of the story that I've been telling myself and others. I'm not a molestation victim. My dad didn't rape me at 6 months old, because ontologically that's an illusion and a lie. The truth is that he only had 4 joydicals at that time in the shape of positive intention. To connect, to feel better, to heal, and to grow up. And nothing else. It was like 4 drops of water in a desert. So the reality is that during that time period, at 6 months old, it was just the most boring moment of my life because there was so little there to keep my attention, to do anything, to notice anything, to feel or enjoy anything. It was the driest, most barren moment of my life, and so it's actually the least interesting moment to talk about. What am I going to say? In an ontologically accurate way. When I was 6 months old, my dad had 4 positive intentions. That's all you can say ontologically. Whereas every other moment had more going on in terms of manifest joy. That moment was the least interesting, the most boring, the most unreal, because it was microscopically substantial. And I am not a microscopic being, I am a macroscopic being, and so it was just the least real, the most boring moment of my life. No one has ever been abused, no one has ever been molested. Pedophiles don't exist. There is no bad anywhere in the universe because it has no substance, it's only shapes in the shadows. So I was not molested because molest does not exist. And no one is molested because pedophiles don't exist. There is no suffering in the world because you cannot grab shadow. It's just illusions and lies in your head. That's all it is.